Okay, so now, as you guys know from the past, there's such thing as no solution and infinitely many solutions when you're solving systems of equations. The same thing goes for when you're solving them as matrices. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna solve this problem as much as we can. We do know that something's gonna happen, so we're going to try to simplify it down as much as we can, and then we'll get to the end and we'll see where we're at. So this is more of like we have to see it through example. Okay, I'm gonna make that a little smaller. First step, write your matrix. All right, so that's our matrix. And here we go. First step, how do we get rid of that -5 or turn that -5 into a 1? Well, we can go ahead and let's see. Well, if we do 2 times row 3 plus row 1, that'll give us a +1. So let's do that. So row 4 and row 5 we're not working with right now. But 2 times row 3, if I just write that down scratchwork-wise, that is negative, I guess I should do -2 times row 3. That'll give me a +6 and a +2, -2, -2. So if I take that and add it to my, row 1, that's going to give me 1, 0, -1, 0. If you look at that, I actually was able to reduce 2 pieces in 1, which that wasn't my intention, but it worked out that way, so that's nice. Okay, so the next step, we need to go ahead and reduce down underneath that leading 1, so that 4 needs to become a 0. So I'm going to multiply my row 1 by a -4 and add it to my row 2. So -4 row 1 plus row 2. Nothing's changing in my first row at this step. Nothing's changing in my third row at this step. But now I get, let's see, -4 row 1. That gives me -4, 0, 4, and 0. So that's a nice easy one. 2 of them don't change. When we add it to our row 2, that gives us a 0, -1, -2, and 2. And then our next step, we're going to go ahead and take care of row 3 underneath that 0 and that leading 1 in the first column. That means I need to multiply 3 row 1 plus row 3, and that becomes my new row 3. Okay, so doing that, that gives me a 0. Still -1. And then that is -3 plus 1, -2. And I still have 1 there. Okay, so we have now taken care of those 2 leading 0, those 2 zeros that go with that leading 1. Let me make this a little smaller. That's 6. For some reason, didn't move along. All right, I'm going to do less talking and less scratch work, so it speeds up a teeny bit. This next step, I'm going to see that I need to reduce that -1 in row 2. So my row 1, my row 3. If I just do a negative row 2, that'll work for me. Now I need to get this -1 to become a 0. So how do I do that? Well, I'll just go ahead and add up my row 2 plus row 3. So that will give that a 0. So 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 2, negative 2, 0. This turns to a 0. Oh, this also turns to a 0, and this is a negative 1. Which, that's impossible because there's no variables left. And so that would be 0x plus 0y plus 0z equals negative 1, which is impossible. So this system actually has no solution. And there's our example of one that doesn't have a solution.